we were thinking one of the nights, but this has been such a busy news day today with all that's happening. A lot of very positive things have happened, including the Indy. We're going to have an Indy race, as you know, in 41 days. And that's going to be incredible. Around the Capitol, around down Pennsylvania Avenue, it's going to be something. They have 250,000 tickets ordered. It'll be like UFC, which set every record in the book for that business, which is the business of fighting. So we have the Indy cars coming, and it's going to be great. And while we're talking, I have to pay on behalf of Mike and myself, and I think everybody's standing behind me very strongly. I want to pay my respects to Lindsey, who was our friend. He was a friend of all of us. He was a great guy. He was a great politician, actually. And it's hard to believe he's gone. He spoke to me just before he passed away, just to say hello. He got back. He felt fine. He was a little tired. And then this whole thing happened. And it's, boy, it's tough. So the flags are at half-mast until Saturday evening, which is an extended period of time, generally speaking, but I think he deserves it. And he's a fantastic person. He was a fantastic man. He was actually a great politician. He got along with almost everybody. And when he didn't get along, they knew it. He was tough, but he was a good man. He was very much in favor of the Save America Act. He called me about that. We were talking about that and some other things. But he just felt tired, but he felt fine. And then this horrible thing happened just a short time afterwards. So it was terrible. I just want to pay our respects.
Mr. President, you mentioned that Iran has agreed to a deal and then walked away from it. Have you reached the conclusion that a negotiated settlement won't be able to happen?
No, I never reached that conclusion, but we're hitting them very heavy tonight, as you know. We have tremendous amounts of ammunition. We have numbers that we haven't had in years. And we're hitting them very hard, and it'll continue, and we'll see what happens. But we're knocking out all of their offensive capability, and we're controlling the straits. We're putting the blockade back. And it's a blockade not for anybody but Iran. In other words, anybody doing business with Iran can't go through. Everyone else will be able to go through. So it's a blockade. It's a very strong blockade. The blockade was probably more effective even than hitting them, but I think the combination is the thing that really does it.
But you think a deal is still possible? You think they'll return to that?
Yeah, I think a deal is possible. Sure, I do.
But, Mr. President, you noted the United States is bombing Iran again. I mean, you've been bombing Iran for months now. Is this just the new normal for the American people?
Well, we're in Vietnam for 19 years. We're here for 4 months. So I think we've done a lot. We've knocked out their Navy in a period of 1 month. We knocked out their Air Force. Their Air Force is non-existent. We knocked out most of their missiles, most of their drones. We knocked out their drone manufacturing capability, about 92%. Their missile capability for manufacturing, we knocked out 89%. And they have a little capability, but they don't have any capability for us. This is almost a military skirmish. Now, with all of that being said, you have to get people that want to make something. We had a deal with them 2 days ago, and then they said, oh, we can't make that deal. We have to negotiate it further. And this is what they've done for 47 years. The difference is nobody negotiated like I do. And this should have been done by Bush and Obama and Biden and people before them. Frankly, it's 47 years they've been ripping off everybody and really hurting and killing thousands of people. So they killed 52,000 protesters, but they killed many, many people with Soleimani, who I killed in the first term. Soleimani killed many people, many people, and not only killed. When you see a young former soldier walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been horribly, horribly hurt, that was done by Iran. That was done by Soleimani. He was a person that was very evil. He was an evil genius. He was looking to take out a lot of our military installations in Iraq and Iran, and I got him before he got us. So we have to do what we're doing, and the strait is open. It will be open. We've cut down their capability very substantially, but they're going to fight for a while. Our military has done a fantastic job. And the bottom line, though, and I say it to everybody, and I say it as much as you want to listen, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. If we didn't bomb them with the B-2 bombers, that plane right there, if we didn't bomb them, they would have had a nuclear weapon long ago. 1 month Within 1 month from the day we bombed them, they would have had, if we didn't do it, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If they had a nuclear weapon, Israel would no longer be with us. The Middle East probably would no longer be with us, because you saw they sent missiles to 5 different countries that never even knew they were involved, because they're stone cold crazy. They are crazy.
Get reimbursed.
And we're not going to put it up. Yeah, I want to be reimbursed because we're protecting a very rich portion of the world. We're spending money. And so what we've done is we are going to be reimbursed for protection. We're protecting by the countries that we're helping. For instance, you look at the 5 countries. You have Saudi Arabia, you have UAE, you have Qatar, or Qatar as I always say, you have Qatar, Bahrain, and by the way, you have others. You have Kuwait, and you have others, and they will do very well. But we think it's appropriate that we don't need them. You know, we have more oil than any other country in the world. When you add Venezuela, which has been amazing, which has tremendous amounts of oil that we control, when you add Venezuela and everything else, we have more than 50% of the world's supply. We don't need it, but we need it from the standpoint of protecting allies, et cetera, including Israel, including Saudi Arabia, including Qatar, including UAE. We're protecting all of them, and we've done a very effective job. So 4 months ago, these people had military that was very strong, by far the strongest probably in the Middle East. They were called the bully of the Middle East. Now they don't have a Navy. They have 159 ships underwater. They had a total of 159 ships. Now every one of them is underwater. They had 230 airplanes, attack planes. They're all gone. They're gone. They had tremendous radar. It's all gone. They had tremendous anti-aircraft. It's all gone. Sadly, their leadership is all gone. They had their first-tier leaders are all dead. Their second-tier leaders are all dead. Their third-tier leaders, who we're dealing with, more or less, some of them are already gone. And then you read fake news like your network, CNN, which is fake news. You read them, you have them say, well, actually, aren't they doing quite well? Let me just tell you, they have now inflation of over 300%. 4 months ago, they had inflation of 5%. Now they're at over 300, could be 350%. They made a deal, they broke it, probably 10 times. And they killed a lot of people. They killed our people. But the protesters, what they've done to the protesters, 52,000. Have you ever seen any of the burial lots where they're burying the protesters? They killed 52,000 protesters, and on my watch, they can't do any of that. So we have them in a position that they don't have any military. There's not a thing they can do about it. All they have is fake news, because they have the fake news, would rather see us lose the war than win the war, which is really treasonous, in a certain way. So we're doing another very major attack tonight. They want to make a deal. They came back. We made a deal 2 days ago, and they want to make a deal. They've been negotiating for 47 years, but nobody's ever hit them militarily. We're hitting them very hard. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, press.
We're talking about that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Keep going. Thank you, guys. Peter, keep going. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, guys.
welcome everybody to Just the News, No Noise, the Monday edition. You've been watching a live press conference with the president in the Oval Office, where he made clear that Iran just cannot be trusted. It has broken too many of its promises. It has acted badly and aggressively every time it claims it wants peace. And so you got a pretty good sense of what the president's thinking is. He also paid great tribute to the late Senator Lindsey Graham, who passed away Saturday night, tragically, suddenly, from an aortic dissemblance. He is being remembered all across the Capitol today with flags flown at half-mast and memories of his extraordinary work as a patriot, as a peacemaker, as a foreign policy and national security expert inside the United States Senate. The president's deference was extraordinary. He had planned to do a news conference tonight at 9 o'clock, but he moved it to Thursday night so that people can spend more time mourning and appreciating the great career of Lindsey Graham. With that, let me quickly turn to my amazing co-host, Amanda Head, and we're going to get to our first guest in just a second. Amanda, pretty busy day. The president pretty clear about Iran today.
Absolutely. And just going back on what you said about the late senator, it was such amazing to see this metamorphosis of their relationship, to go from enemies in 2016 as opponents on the debate stage to frenemies, and then Lindsey Graham became one of his staunchest allies. It was incredible to see. And Lindsey Graham was one of those folks who, I mean, and you've seen this from the tributes from Democrats alike, saying, you know, he was a guy that not only did he fight for this country, but the causes that he believed in, he would stretch across the aisle, he would figure out how to make it happen, and he was a true statesman. And it's a quality that you just don't see that much anymore up on Capitol Hill, with the exception of our guest tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quickly, a few years ago, I said this to Lindsey in a private conversation. He reminded me of the World War II generation of our politicians who put country before party. They could be partisan, but they always put country first. And in his generation, he was sort of an anathema because he felt like a George Mitchell or a Bob Dole or someone that could put the politics aside to do what's right for your country. And he's going to be sorely missed. Yeah. All right, we got the perfect way to kick into the show. Joining us from the great state of Wyoming, I think she'll be its next senator. I'm pretty certain of that. Congresswoman Harriet Hageman. Congresswoman, great to have you on the show. Thank you for waiting around for us.
It's wonderful to be with you, and I'm back in Washington, D.C., just getting ready to walk over to the Capitol and vote for our first vote of the week.
Hey, all right. So there's a lot going on. I'm curious how the current pace of work has been affected by the sudden loss of Lindsey Graham. Everybody knew him on both sides of the Capitol. Thoughts about what it might do to the dynamic this week? Maybe a little more bipartisanship?
I don't know if we'll see that. There are many of us that are very saddened by what has happened in terms of the legislative impact. I guess one of the questions I have is that I do want a budget reconciliation 3.0, and he was the head of the budget committee on the Senate side. He was someone who was very commonsensical when it came to try to pushing this kind of legislation through. And so we'll see if it does have an impact on budget reconciliation. We are hearing some things that we may still be going forward with that, which I hope we are, that we don't lose that opportunity. But that is just an example of how his skills are going to be sorely missed when it comes to getting this kind of legislation through.
Well, and Congresswoman, he had a lot of things that he fought for, but one of them was the Save America Act. If this is not going to have any type of effect on bipartisanship, is it going to have an effect on Republicans in the Senate? Maybe this will give them a little bit more of an urge.
You know, I sure wish that it would. It makes sense for that because he was a champion for it, as many of us are. There is absolutely no reason why we don't have the voter ID and having to establish citizenship when you first register to vote. Those are common sense measures that most countries around the world that care about elections would have in place. We want to make it easy to vote, but we want to make it hard to cheat. And this is an example of the legislation that would allow us to do that. So I definitely would advocate for renaming it the Lindsey Graham Save America Act or whatever it would take to get those extra votes, because this is a piece of legislation that we should be able to pass quite easily out of both the House and the Senate, really.
Yeah, no, it should be. When 85% of Americans want it, it should be easy. Let me turn to some of the other business that you are working on. You're helping to squeeze out the woke in government. You played a big role in that out of our energy industry. What else is on the horizon?
So one of the things that we're seeing play out in mostly blue states and blue cities are these lawsuits against our energy companies. And this is an effort because they cannot get the net zero legislation through. They cannot get a carbon tax through either through Congress or through individual state legislatures. So what these cities like the city of Boulder, and I know I've talked about them before, have done is they're filing lawsuits against energy companies claiming that they owe damages in a form of reparations for causing climate change. First of all, these are ex post facto laws. Every single one of those oil and energy and coal companies, every one of our energy companies, they receive all of the permits that are necessary, both at the state and federal level, to be able to operate. So you don't get to go back in after the fact and say, well, now we're going to charge you billions, upwards of $1 trillion in additional taxes because you caused so-called climate change. And what is significant about this is it was just recently that the UN admitted that they had issued a report in 2021 demonstrating that much of their modeling and their predictions and their hysterical hair on fire type of claims have been debunked years ago, that they do not believe that the things that they think are going to be happening with the inundations of our coasts and no longer snow and no longer having a polar ice cap and all of that. They know that none of those things are true. So here we are, right when the UN is finally having to fess up for cooking the books. Then you've got states and local communities who are trying to tax our energy companies out of existence. So I've got the Stop Climate Shakedowns Act, the very purpose of which is to block these type of lawsuits from going forward.
Congresswoman, before we let you go, I want to ask you, because I just recently saw an interview with Gavin Newsom, and he was actually taking credit for climate policies in California that allowed the world's first trillionaire, Elon Musk, to thrive and to be as entrepreneurial as he was. Never mind the fact that it was actually his regulations that pushed him out of California to Texas. But if something like this Democrat this climate bill passes, does it take all of those bad policies that force people out of California? Does it federalize those?
No, not necessarily. What it does do is it stops the lawsuits. So right now there's a lawsuit in front of the United States Supreme Court, and it was brought by the city of Boulder to try to basically impose a carbon tax against our energy companies. What our bill would do is make it so that those kinds of lawsuits cannot be filed. We would prevent the states and the communities from being able to do a climate shakedown, which is the name of the bill, to go after our oil and gas and our energy companies. Here's one thing to keep in mind. In Europe right now, with the heat wave that they've been having, which, by the way, is very common. They have it every year. It's called summer. Some years are hotter than others, and some years are colder than others, but that's just the cyclical nature of weather. They have built hospitals without air conditioning because of their insanity associated with net zero and climate change. They are killing thousands of people as we speak because they will not allow air conditioning. Can you imagine having a baby in the NICU at a hospital that does not have air conditioning when it's 100 degrees out? This is truly insanity. And not only being 100 degrees out, but then you take into consideration things like the urban heat index and the impact of being in an urban area. And all of these things are compounded, not because of climate change, not because our energy companies have produced a good that we all need and use. It's because of the insane policies that these people have adopted that are really causing very severe suffering and death of their own people. And I think that is what these radical environmentalists want to visit here. That's what they want to happen in the United States. And that's why they're bringing these lawsuits, because they want Americans to suffer, if not as much, maybe perhaps even more, so that they can pursue their radical environmental agenda. My bill would stop that.
Yeah, the end of sue and settle. That's going to be such an important thing. Congresswoman, as always, you're on the front edge of some of the biggest solutions America has long waited for. Great to have you on the show today. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to blow the commercial break and get right to our next guest who's been waiting there. She is the former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump, one of the smartest security thinkers anywhere in the world. She also serves as Vice President of Heritage's Catherine and Shelby Cullum Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy, and a good friend of ours on top of it. She's Victoria. Victoria, great to have you on the show.
Wonderful to see both of you.
Yeah. All right, let me start off real quickly. President Trump pretty clear where he thinks about Iran. Can't be trusted. We're going to crunch the Hormuz, shut down their business again, and bring them to their knees. Is that the right approach?
Well, I think it is. And I mean, it always amazes me, John, with President Trump. He's folded. Oh, he's got so much pressure from the midterms. He's not going to act. He's caved in. And I mean, that is true until suddenly one day it isn't. And it looks like today is that day. And he has just had enough. And he is not going to continue this kind of diplomatic dance or negotiation dance, whatever you want to call it, with the Iranians, where everything takes 11 hours and they want to use emissaries and translators to just string things out as much as possible. He's done. And I think he feels like he has the region with him. Everybody is united against Iran. And he also has, oil prices around $75, $80 a barrel. That's a little bit high. I would say a little hot for the U.S. economy. It's probably the sweet spot for the Saudis, so they're not going to be making any noises. And I think what we're going to be able to do is continue to moderate that situation, mitigate it for the American people, and really take it to the Iranians. And this is entirely their choice.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Saudi and our other allies in that region, Iran is not just aiming back at us. They are also back to attacking our allies in that region. Does that bring them to the brink where they say, all right, whatever it takes, President Trump, to get this done, we're behind you all the way?
I think it does. And, you can look at a country like Oman, which is right across the Strait of Hormuz. Oman's on the western side, Iran is on the eastern side. And Iran has been trying to make common cause with Oman and try to make a consortium. They shot at them yesterday. I mean, so Oman's like, you're crazy. We can't go into a partnership with you. It would be terrible for Oman anyway. But, it's something historically they have done. And so they've just fouled that. And so every friend they have, Qatar, their major banker, a guy named Ali Ansari, who was operating out of Dubai and UAE, he just got sanctioned on Friday. That's going to hit this new supreme leader directly in the wallet. This is his guy who's been running his real estate empire globally, including hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate in London, of all places. And so they are just slowly destroying themselves and their network of support. And meanwhile, President Trump is having Secretary of War Pete Hegseth every night take out more additional targets, inflict more damage in the country, and they can't really recover from it.
Yeah, so important. All right, let me ask a little bit about the changing dynamics across the globe. It really does feel like there is a chance for peace to move in the conversation between Ukraine and Russia. The new sanctions Lindsey Graham was working on just before he passed away, got the president's buy-in on that. What do you think plays out in that war over the next couple of weeks? What should we be watching for signs of progress?
Well, and this has been such a sad weekend with the passing of Senator Graham, and I'm not going to blow smoke and say, oh, we agreed on everything. We didn't, but we enjoyed a fierce debate. We had debates when I was working for Senator Cruz, and he always engaged with such good humor and charm, and it was always a pleasure, even when we disagreed. So this has been very, very sad, but hopefully the momentum that he tracked in Kiev over the course of the weekend is real. That the situation, I think this is more or less historically analogous to, John, is the Winter War in Russia against Finland in the 1930s, when Stalin thought he could just wipe out Finland and went in, and the Finns did pretty much what the Ukrainians have done. They were hugely resilient. They were extremely dynamic, extremely creative. Now, the Russians always had a number advantage, but it dragged on and it dragged on. And finally, Stalin said, I have other things to deal with. I'm just going to make a deal. And it wasn't a great deal for Finland, but it was a good deal, and they survived and retained their independence. I think that's what we're going to see in Ukraine because of what they've been doing, particularly to Russian refining capacity. Now, Russia can have all the barrels of crude they want. If you can't refine it, you can't put it in your car. And so that is starting to really impact their economy. It's bad for business. And that's when I think Putin's going to start to feel some pressure to make the same kind of compromise as Stalin did almost 100 years ago.
Amazing.
Victoria, I also want to highlight one of your other expertises, and that is art history. A lot of people came here for the 250th birthday. The last time I went to the the Museum of American History, I noticed a lot of art in there. Now, this was more like performance arts, but it really didn't tell, I think, a fair-sided story of the United States. And I would have to think that you agree.
Oh, no. And the White House put out this incredible report that a number of different elements it participated in supporting the White House. Just what is happening at the Smithsonian and what kinds of things they are feeding to our children, feeding to our visitors, feeding to our own public, and how anti-American it is, and anti-art, Amanda. I mean, they seem to hate the works of art, and they particularly hate anything that came out of the Western tradition. You might know I'm writing a book about the fact that Leonardo's Mona Lisa and Michelangelo's David were made in the same place at the same time. That's an incredible fact of Western civilization, the two most beloved works of art on the planet. You would think I was working for Hitler when I tell some people that I'm doing this. Why would you want to celebrate that? Those were terrible societies. They were terrible people. These are incredible human achievements, all the more incredible because they were imperfect humans who did them. And we should celebrate that and study them and see what they mean to us today. And hopefully that that report that the White House put out on July 4th is going to be, the first step in really cleaning all of this out, making our own history honest and accessible to us, and making our cultural patrimony similarly honest and accessible.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely impossible to bifurcate a country's art with its history and its civilization. I'm so excited for that book that's going to be coming out. We love having you on the show. Vice President of Heritage's Catherine and Shelby Cullum Davis Institute for National Security. Victoria Coates, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great conversation.
All right, everybody, coming up next, what can our lawmakers do to stop the spread of socialism? That coming up on the other side.
What if I told you you could get a brand new metal roof and save 50% off the installation?
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Just the News, No Noise, as we continuously talk about on this show the peripatetic nature, frankly, of whether the majority is going to stay with Republicans up on Capitol Hill or whether it's going to bounce to Democrats on the House side. Of course, anything can happen in the Senate as well. But we are so excited to bring in our next guest, as we reflect back on the nation's 250. I keep seeing these clips of Texas and their celebrations of the 250, and it's clear that Texas loves this country. It's also clear that Texas loves our next guest. He is Texas State Representative and U.S. congressional candidate, twice endorsed by President Trump, Steve Toth. Steve, great to have you.
Great to be with you.
All righty. So when it comes to all of the topics that Americans are thinking about when they head to the polls in November, obviously we have late breaking news on Iran and what's happening with that conflict. That's going to affect gas prices, which affects supply chain, which affects inflation. All of these things are intermingled. What are you worried about most as a candidate?
Right now, more than anything, is complacency on the part of Republicans, and that's my biggest concern. We can win this. We just have to have the fire in our gut to get out and turn out and vote. We can win this. We know we can. We're going against the most liberal and insane group of people that we have ever gone against. I wanted to call them Democrats, but they're not even Democrats. They're not even socialists. They're communists. And they're so far to the left, it's hard to believe that anybody that's a center left or an independent voter would ever consider voting for them.
Yeah, it's a real issue. I was just looking. I wanted to make sure I got this right. New poll does show that MAGA voters are now more enthusiastic for the first time, the Democrats for the first time in the 26th cycle. It seems like the last few weeks, the idea that we keep scoring, even when the mainstream media says, you're losing, you're failing, and then another victory comes. How important is that pattern of victories that the president keeps rolling up in terms of getting the base ready to vote?
It's critically important that we continue to communicate our very simple message, conservative message. And John, you know what floors me is that you hear this talk by pundits in the news saying extremists from both sides. I'm sorry, but where's my position changed over the last 30 years? Yet, if you look at the left, where has their position changed? On the gender mutilation of children, on open borders, on law enforcement, support for law enforcement, support for our troops overseas, pride in our country, love of country. Oh my gosh, they've lost it. They've absolutely lost their minds.
Ever think you'd see a major political party get behind communism and socialism the way the Democrats have?
I didn't. In fact, it was 1985. I just moved into our first house, been married for barely a year. I'm watching on my Zenith color TV, which, 4 people had to bring it into the house in those days, John, right? It was a piece of furniture.
I remember.
And I'm watching riots in Paris. And I remember thinking to myself, it was like an epiphany. I remember thinking to myself, God, thank you that I live in the United States and that I never have to worry about that coming to our country.
Amen.
And yet it's here.
It is here.
It's here. And if we will not stand and fight against this, our children and grandchildren have no future.
So true.
And, you look at nations like France and the UK and how Islamic they have become. A lot of people are sounding the alarm in Texas, a lot of these communities that are trying to break ground on community centers and neighborhoods and things like that. Are you concerned that that's going to propagate across other states?
Deeply. I sat down with a couple, former Muslim couple. They live in Western Turkey, Ephesus and Galatia. Those are the biblical communities, right? Yeah. And they both live in Ephesus, but she said, Sharia will be the death of America. And this is somebody that came out of that and said, love Muslims, love them to Jesus. But if they don't come to Jesus and they enter into, and it's not, and she would just say, they are not extremists. They're fundamentalists. And if they believe in following the Quran and the Hadiths, it will lead to this what the left calls extremism. It's not extremism. This is fundamentalism. You only have to look at Paris and England, London, to see what they've done.
Brussels.
You don't recognize it anymore.
We don't. It's amazing. It's the looking glass moment for America. If we don't want to become that, now's the time to confront it. I want to turn to states' rights for a second, because I think about the last 5 years, and without Texas, I'm not sure America holds the line on the Biden policies, on the border, on China. You guys have led on China and rolling up the farmland. What lessons do you take from that states have continued to get good conservative states have come up with good ideas when Washington's Republicans often haven't had many? Donald Trump has, but you look around Washington, there's not as many ideas as there are in Texas.
I worked really closely with Lois Kolkhorst, Senator Kolkhorst, and she was the one that authored the bill that kept foreign adversaries from being able to control land in China. And she got the strongest bill that she could over from the Senate to me, and then I took it and I amended it that you couldn't buy land, but you could lease it for 99 years. But that's the best that she could get out of the Senate. I then took that lease from 99 years to 1 year, and it's now the strongest legislation in the United States. Unfortunately, James Tallarico, who is running against Ken Paxton, voted against all of our amendments. James, this is a guy that would love to see our foreign adversaries control our farmlands. This is a guy that would love to see our foreign adversaries control essential elements of our pipeline for goods and services. This is a guy that supported gender mutilation of our children. This is a guy that fought against us when we passed a constitutional amendment to state that you can never have an income tax in Texas. This is a guy that has fought against everything you could possibly imagine to lower the cost of living in Texas, and yet now he's calling himself a moderate. That's for all those things. It's crazy.
Amazing.
Tell me about James, because he, there's this new agey type Christianity deconstruction, and he seems to subscribe to that, where he, questions the gender of God and a lot of these fundamental things that are talked about from the Old Testament to the New Testament. I have to think that Texans are much more adherent to the Bible and learn it on the Bible than to think that what he is espousing as Christianity is true.
It's so funny because this is a guy that came into the House in 2019. And he was one of the most caustic. Like we're gonna show video of him of who he was when he first came in. He was not this congenial, nice, sweet, kind boy next door. He was this caustic, angry little man that that came in, that decided in 2025 when he came back into the Texas House that he was going to run for the Senate. And so he just did this makeover where all of a sudden he's in seminary, he wants to be a pastor, and yet, oh no, he's just he's absolutely. I said this to my wife when I first met him. I said he's the darkest soul I've ever met. That was back in 2019.
Wow. Okay, we should go back and look at those video clips. That's
You should,
important.
yeah.
Well, learning, yeah.
You know, it's funny. We passed legislation in 2023 that, and Texas was the very first one. 80% of people in prisons across the United States are functionally illiterate. 75% of them are dyslexic. And we passed legislation, a parental rights bill, that allows parents to decide if they want their kid tested for dyslexia. At the microphone, you know, I struggled with dyslexia as a child. Wow. And he actually used that against me when questioning me from the back mic. He goes, "You can read." "Oh, that's right, you can't read." "That's right, Representative Toth." I mean, he's that kind of nasty, kind of just small-minded, mean-spirited kind of thing. This is who this guy is. He's not a kind person. He's not a nice person. Yeah. He's going to be an awful, if he ever gets elected, he will be the worst thing that ever happens to the United States. And I think Democrats are going to wear this around their neck from the East Coast to the West Coast, who James Tallarico really is.
Wow. I want to ask a little bit about the unity in the Republican Party in Texas. Obviously, there's some history there with Paxton and others, but when you get down to the final thing, do you think the party comes together and pushes everything over the top?
Baby, we are kissing cousins right now.
I knew it. It's funny how elections do that to you.
Yeah, I can remember. You know, I can remember how Kevin Brady and Donald Trump were not all that close together.
They were.
He was asked about that, and he said, "Trump and I are kissing cousins now."
I love that. That's funny.
Look, that's the time you have disagreement. It's during the primaries, and this was a very contentious primary.
Yep.
But we're all finding our way back home because we love America, and something that can be said about Texans: we don't think we're better than anybody else. We just think we do America better than everybody else. And so,
I like that. I think there's a lot of Americans that agree with that, too.
Yeah. Oh, man. Texas State Representative and U.S. Congressional candidate Steve Toth. Tell everybody where they can find out more about your campaign.
Come visit me at SteveTothForCongress.com. SteveTothForCongress.com. We need your help.
People are very excited.
Lone Star State loves you, and we appreciate you being with us tonight.
Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we're going to take a very quick break, and we will be back on the other side.
Hey folks, I got a movie recommendation for you. Hidden War, now streaming on Angel, takes viewers inside one of the most important fights happening in the world today, the battle against child trafficking. The documentary follows Tim Ballard and his team as an investigation that begins in war-torn Ukraine, uncovers a trafficking network stretching across continents in pursuit of the people responsible. And this isn't a dramatization, it's the real thing. It's built on raw footage. You'll see undercover operations, real rescue missions, traffickers being brought to justice, and children being given a chance at a better future. And while the subject matter is difficult, this ultimately is a hopeful film. It's about proving that even in some of the darkest places on earth, light can be restored. It's notable that Angel is willing to distribute films about subjects many major studios seem reluctant to touch directly. If you saw The Sound of Freedom, this is very much a continuation of that conversation. If you want to watch something that goes beyond entertainment and shines a light on a very real global crisis, start streaming Hidden War on Angel today. Go to angel.com/JS and watch now. That's angel.com/JS. Go watch.
Are your yellow teeth making you look old? Get Smile Actives, the daily teeth whitening.
Our country is under attack. The radical left woke agenda is infiltrating our schools, our houses of worship, our government, and our media. The younger generation needs you, the older, wiser generation, to stand up and lead us back to the right path. Think you're too old to fight back? time is running out. Stand up and fight today.
Make America great again.
Hi, my name is Tracy Elk with Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
I'm Patriot Mermaid, and I'm from West Haven, Connecticut. When the mainstream media wasn't giving us the truth, I went and looked for the truth and found it on Real America's Voice. Come and join us. Come on.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through RAV. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
Welcome back, everybody. And a bit of news that we wanted to mention at the top of the show, but obviously President Trump took precedent. The fact that Senator Lindsey Graham, the late senator from South Carolina, his beloved little sister, has been tapped to take his seat until they can vote someone in for a full term. So I know that Senator Graham would absolutely love that.
Amazing story about them, too, because he adopted her early in life. They're very, very close. What a great idea.
Yep, absolutely.
People smiling all across South Carolina.
All right, everybody, let's get to some other news. Are you bracing yourself for another summer of bad sleep? Kicking off the covers, turning on the fan, lowering the thermostat, and waking up exhausted? But what if the problem isn't just the summer heat? Here I am with my fan in the studio because it is absolutely boiling in Washington. We wish we had a ghost bed here in the studio. And joining us now is Mark Warner, the creator of that technology, the founder of Ghost Bed. Mark, thanks so much for being here.
Hello, Amanda and John. Thanks for having GhostBed tonight.
Absolutely. All right. So talk to us about one of the biggest problems for couples when they are sleeping. And I guess even if you're an individual, if you wake yourself up snoring. But for couples, having a partner who snores is absolutely the worst. You got to punch them. You got to push them. Hopefully you don't punch them. You've got a solution for that, don't you?
We do have a solution. So first of all, we like to lean into split king adjustables, which is 2 adjustable bases and 2 different mattresses. So you can pick a firm one, your husband can pick a softer one or a cooler one. But one of the things I've worked on for the past 10 years is developing a smart adjustable base, an anti-snoring adjustable base. So we've got 3 patents and more coming. And so we're just going live with that actually this week. So it's kind of breaking news. And what that does is when you start to snore, the sensors will automatically pick it up and they'll raise your head area from 5 to 15%. So that should open up your passageway and stop you from snoring. So you won't get the elbow, you won't get the flying pillow, you won't get the screaming. You won't get sleep in another room kind of situation. So that's something we're very proud of. We've spent a lot of time for this new product.
No more punching.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that. I'm a huge fan, as you know. I've got 2 of these, and I'm going to buy a 3rd now. I just love this mattress. My entire family does. You do so much more than mattresses now, though. You've got an entire sheet and blanket system. Tell us a little bit about how you can go big at a Ghost Bed and even be more comfortable.
Well, we actually have a special offer for the RAV audience, for your audience. So if anyone buys a mattress, we have a special 10% discount. But besides the extra discount, we have the bundle package. So anyone who buys a mattress from GhostBed, your audience, will get to pick out their own sheets and their own pillows. And let's just talk about the sheets. The sheets are Tenasil and Supima cotton. So it's made over 5 different continents, and it's super crisp and super cool to the touch. And it's just, you love these sheets. It's like I say to my wife every morning I wake up after using them for 10 years, I say, these are the greatest sheets in the world. It's like Groundhog Day. I just keep saying the same thing. They're just amazing sheets. Fitted sheet works perfectly. We've got the ghost grip on the fitted sheet, so it never pops off, so you don't have to be fixing it all the time. And then you can pick any of our different types of pillows, our extra cooling pillows, our gel memory foam pillow, our faux down pillow, or our combination adjustable shredded memory foam pillow. And so what happened is you get the mattress. One of our customer support people will then call you and say, what color sheet do you want? What type of pillow do you want? To make it very personalized, so it's not prepackaged and like the cheap stuff. This is the premium stuff. So that extra value you're getting as being an audience member of John and Amanda is probably an extra $350 to $500, depending what size mattress you get. So we're excited to offer that.
Wow.
We did it a couple of weeks ago, and it was tremendous results. Lots of people interested in it. So we're excited to do it again.
Amazing.
All right,
Wow.
so sheets are an important part of keeping cool at night, but the mattress itself is probably the most important factor. 60% of Americans say they get too hot when they sleep, and Ghost Bed, I mean, you guys are some of the biggest innovators when it comes to keeping someone cool via the mattress.
Right. We pioneered that. We've got patents on cooling technology. So what we have is a couple of things. The fabric itself is cool to the touch. So as soon as you touch it, it's like, wow, that's really cold. That's nice. And then we've got phase change material on the top layer of the foam layer in the mattress package. So we aerate it. We put this phase change on it, which is an organic material. And then so as you're laying there, you feel the coolness. And the typical person falls asleep in about 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, some people, they have a problem, they can never fall asleep. But in that time, it allows your body to knock down a couple degrees, get cool enough, fall asleep, and then stay cool while you are sleeping. So that's really part of our cooling technology. And as you pointed out, we do it in all of our products, the sheets, the pillows, etc. And in all of our mattresses, and it's not an extra cost, it comes with the mattress. That technology is baked into all the mattresses we make.
Amazing. All right, I want to talk about one other thing, because I think a lot of times people wake up, particularly when they get my age, 55, 60, and you wake up in the morning and you're stiff and you think, well, I'm getting old, it's arthritis, and it really is just a mattress that's gone bad on you or was never good for you. How do people decide, what things can we tell people about how their mattress affects that sort of what we think is arthritis, but it may not be. It may just be you're not sleeping right and your body's not supported right.
Right. So it's probably the mattress. I mean, being an older guy, yeah, I mean, things just don't work and feel like they used to. So that is definitely a factor. But it's more likely that it's your mattress. We have the Mark's Mattress Quiz on our website to try to ask some basic questions to kind of direct you into the right type of mattress for you. Feel, cooling, hybrid, which is foam and pocketed coil springs, or off foam. And these things make a huge difference. And also your body changes over time. And so you're gaining a little weight here and there. Your hips are different. Your shoulders are different. You have different aches. And it's time for a new mattress. Typical lifespan in the mattress is 7 to 9 years. Even though we have 25-year warranties on our mattress, it will stay good and you can use it forever. But what's right for your body is kind of getting a new sleep surface every 7 to 9 years, and you will feel much better in the morning, and you will thank me.
Yeah. Steve, before we let you go, we know how important sleep is to a healthy life and to having energy during the day. Yeah. And we can logically deduce that having a good mattress is important to getting that good sleep. And despite that, a lot of Americans are really hesitant to jump in and get a new mattress. But you guys have an opportunity where people can try it all summer long, right?
That's correct. So we have a 101-night trial. So that means you don't have to be fearful of buying a mattress. And our mattresses are very reasonably priced compared to the competition of Tempur-Pedic and other people of that ilk. So you can try it for the 101 nights over 3 months. If you don't like it, we'll come, we'll pick it up. We'll try to get you into a different mattress. We have a very high success rate with our overall program. Over 95% of the people keep their mattress. So we just want you to be happy. We want you to be confident with that decision, because it's still a larger purchase for everybody. And the system works out great. We also have either FedEx delivery right to your door, or we have the white glove delivery if you want that kind of service.
95%, that's a heck of a retention rate.
I want to point out, it didn't take me 101 days. It took me 2 hours to know I had the right mattress. I was sold in 2 hours, and I'm going for my third one.
You raved about it.
I am a total believer. I never thought a mattress could make this much difference.
And we love this partnership. Yeah. Founder of Ghost Bed, Mark Warner, thanks so much for being with us. And to our viewers, if you are waking up tired, you're sore, or you are overheated this summer, don't just blame the heat. It may be your mattress. So right now, only RAV viewers can save an extra 10% on a mattress and get the free summer survival bundle with cooling pillows and sheets with promo code RAVVIP for a limited time. So just go to ghostbed.com/RAVVIP and use the promo code RAVVIP. All right, everybody, coming up next, we're going to talk about the new app for the music industry professionals to connect and collaborate. All on the other side.
It's fun for me to win on the course, but it's even more fun to win on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for...
Our country is under attack. The radical left woke agenda is infiltrating our schools, our houses of worship, our government, and our media. The younger generation needs you, the older, wiser generation, to stand up and lead us back to the right path. Think you're too old to fight back? Think again. Stand up right now and join AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC will give you the training and resources to become a citizen soldier so you can fight for the country you love before it's too late. AMAC is more than 2 million patriots strong. You need to be the next to raise your hand and join. Will you defend democracy? Will you fight for the nation you love? Scan the QR code right now or go to amac.com/RAV. Time is running out. Stand up and fight today.
Make America great again.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
I'm Patriot Mermaid, and I'm from West Haven, Connecticut. When the mainstream media wasn't giving us the truth, I went and looked for the truth and found it on Real America's Voice. Come and join us. Come on.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through RAV. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
Welcome back, everybody, to our final segment of the night. We've been highlighting a lot about the music industry lately on this show and on Real America's Voice as a whole. And RAV has launched its own music label, Real America's Music, and that's an example of how much music isn't centralized anymore between a few big record labels. With the internet, there are more ways than ever before to reach an audience. And another one of those ways is through a new app called Music Industry Community, also known as MIC, M-I-C. It was built by music industry professionals for music industry professionals. The platform allows emerging and established people in the music industry to find a community, connect, collaborate, and much more. So joining us now is partner in MIC and longtime music executive, Christy DiNapoli. Christy, great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I remember back in the day when you had just a few labels and you not only had to have some type of manager who would get you through the door at those labels, but you also had to pay for spins on the radio just to get on the Billboard chart. And it was just a vicious cycle of artists having to basically give themselves away, and certainly their artistic abilities. That's not the case anymore, is it?
No, that's not the case. I mean, all the way back to Prince, where he put slave on his face and everything that, it was his shot at the record labels because it was such a small percentage of people that could actually even get a record deal on an independent label or a major label. So today is different with streaming and with social media. Everything has opened up where anybody can have success, but you have to be heard. And in order to be heard, you need to know how to get your music out there. And that's where we come along.
Yeah, so important. All right, so the music industry is changing by the day. I would argue that a lot of it's moved from Hollywood to Nashville. AI is coming in, giving all sorts of capabilities, and anyone can build a studio that sounds as good as the one that Elvis was recording in 30 years ago. How much of those factors had in creating the incredible new platform that you've built?
Well, you know what, the I guess you would call it the old school and the old way of doing things with like the studios that we're talking about. And the reason that a lot of people have moved down here to Nashville is because of the recording studios that we have on just about every corner. This is a music publishing town, always has been. All the record labels are here. But in order to be accepted, I mean, you had to have music that was at least viable for the record labels to be able to take your music and get you to that next level. Now, when we talk about the record labels, the independents and the majors, that's 4% of artists are on those labels. The other 90 some odd percent, they don't have anywhere to go. They can't get into those labels. It's tighter now than it's ever been. And the money that the labels have to spend, if they're going to be spending $1 million on you, they're going to be extremely picky. And there's very few that get through. Now with Mike, it's just not another music app. It's one of those apps that everything is under one roof. So we have everything that you need here. There's a community of everything you need with Mike Match. You just click on the little mic and it will tell you everything you need to know and everywhere you need to grab these tools to take your artistry to another level, get you onto social media, get your streaming going, and hopefully, hey, you can hit the big time. Zach Bryan is now selling out stadiums, and he didn't start with a record label. He started with streaming and social media. So if you have the right tools, you can be heard.
Yeah. Well, and, even if you are able to sign with one of those big labels, the payoff is even though you get their development machine behind you, most of the time you have to give up your masters, and that's where ultimately most of the money comes from, is the ownership of those masters. So who's on this platform? Is it musicians, engineers, mixers, instrumentalists? Who's on this?
The answer is yes. Everyone can sign up for Mike, because when you sign up, you put in your profile. If you're an artist, then obviously you'll have other artists that are in your community. If you're a musician, if you're a guitar player, drummer, whatever, you sign up, the profile knows where you are. And then as far as anything that you do in the business, if you're a lighting director, if you're a monitor person, a house sound person, anyone that's in the music industry that is a tool that's needed to help others, you're in this profile. And all you have to do is go on to Mike. And if you need a photographer in Austin, or you need a lighting director in Columbus, Ohio, because you're doing a show up there, I mean, you can choose between all of these things. A lot of people need musicians. And then even if you're a big artist here, say in the, one of those 4%ers at a major label, and you're still putting your band together, you can go on to Mike and you can find some of the best players in the world because they're all there in front of you. And all of their YouTubes are on there. Bios.
So cool. I can't believe it took this long for someone to come up with this. Christy, thank you for doing this. President and CEO of Music Industry Community, Christy DiNapoli, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And that's all the time that we have for this evening, but we're going to be back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on Real America's Voice. Everyone, have a good one.
What makes Blue Chew Gold the best? Gold supports blood flow and long-lasting performance.
Our country is under attack. The radical left woke agenda
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.